about their favorite records and just about how they're dealing right now with this pandemic. I mean, we're all home. We love our family. Some of us are far away from them. My daughters, I have one in New York, one in Florida. My mother's elderly, 87. I always worry about her every day. She's pretty far away, obviously. And but one of the things that's great is we're doing this for We Are Here with Carrie Brown, Linda Perry, Chris Trevero, everybody over there. We're trying to raise money for Music Cares because a lot of our friends, all the people from our community, they are out of work. I mean, we don't even know when touring is going to start again. And so it's really changed things up for a lot of people. And if you're like me, almost everybody in my family has lost their job. I'm still working a bit. I do this for the charity. I'm doing some radio stuff still, of course. But for me, it's like, I just want to be there strong for my family, strong for my kids, keep my mental health up. And these are the most trying times I've ever lived through. At the same time, it's the music that keeps us going. We love it, man. And that's what my friends are all about. I miss them every single day, but we're keeping it together by doing this show. And I have one of my great, great friends here doing the show with me today. He's one of the most influential guitar players in alternative music ever from one of my favorite bands of all time. And we usually would be hanging out 2 or 3 times a week. Generally, we'd be going out, grabbing food, listening to music in his car, just like, getting coffee, just doing different things. And we're not, but we're here today. And I'm so glad he agreed to do it. It's Joey Santiago from the Pixies. Joey, what's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing, Matt?
Yeah, I'm good, man. We've been staying in touch through this whole thing, which is great, And one of the first things that came to mind for me was what a great dad you are. Because I know, you just have always been there for your kids. I know how much you love them. And there are so many people that might be watching right now. I mean, my daughters are grown up, but, they still need their dad around. But you know what I mean? So, but what I wanted to say was, you are home with your kids. And I know so many parents, like I had Sam Hollander, the producer on here, and a bunch of other people who are kind of figuring out how to navigate through this pandemic. How's it been for you with your kids at home, Joey?
Well, they do online school. So, but having said that, they were tardy one time, Yeah. My daughter was. It's like, what the hell? Your school is like 5 feet away, right there on your desk.
Yeah. Hey, the kids always find a way to surprise and challenge you, right?
Yeah. And my son my son likes it, actually. He has PE in the morning, so he just
what's he do? He just online just exercise?
Naps. No, he takes a nap. That's his physical education right there.
That's great. That's amazing.
I can't blame him. I would do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're all taking a lot of naps sometimes. It's funny. I was saying to you earlier that when I did a morning show on a radio in San Francisco, New York, there were times where by the end of the week, you're pretty shot because you're getting up in the morning at 3:30, 4 in the morning. And there were times when I would take a nap and then wake up and be light out. And I would have this feeling of horror, oh my God, it's something to the beginning of the show. I didn't, show up. And it was crazy. You know what I mean? And that's how the last time I saw Temple of the Dog with Chris Cornell live, 2 nights at the Fillmore, I remember that I took a nap and I woke up and I was in shock. And I looked at text from Chris Cornell and Michael McCready going, "Where are you?" And I got in an Uber, I went there and I walked in during the first song. It was so cool, man. They were covering Bowie's B-side Holy, Holy, and Mick, they were just doing everything from Zeppelin, all these songs by Free. Those are really great shows. But anyway, Joey, let's talk about you, man. What's amazing is I love the story because you have a parallel story to one of my other best friends, my friend Renee Mata, who's also Filipino American. And also, he's seriously, his family, believe it or not, I've spent Christmases with them. I've, they're just he's been one of my very, very close friends, close like you, brother. And, that's an amazing story. You guys coming over after Marcos declared martial law. Do you remember any of that stuff at all? Or were you really?
It's on Wikipedia. It might have been, it was just a coincidence, or maybe not, that we left when martial law took an effect. Yeah. But do I remember leaving?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I remember. I was that brat crying on the plane. They were giving me that triangle chocolate. I remember Toblerone or something. And I had no idea where we were going at all. One time I pointed at the moon and I thought that's where we were going. Because is that where we're going? You know?
Yeah.
I had just no clue. And yeah, it was a long ass flight.
Yeah, I'm sure, man. Hey, six siblings, right? So you're like the third, right? And I talked about your brothers and different things before. What was it like, the adjustment, to move to Massachusetts from there when you were a young kid? Tell me about that.
We moved to Yonkers, New York, actually, just for 2 years.
First?
Yeah, just for 2 years we were there for. What was the adjustment like? Definitely felt for some reason we felt like a minority in the U.S.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny how that happens. So yeah, it was quite a change. They told me I had an accent, and all that stuff. I remember being in school. I go, we have a new student here. He's from the Philippines. Do you have any questions for Joey? And one kid said, "Did you live in a hut?" I was like, "Oh boy." Hey, some people do. Some people do.
Yeah.
And those are the happiest people I've met down there. Yeah.
That's amazing. So so tell me about Joey. Obviously, I mean, it's been stuff that's documented, but I want to, what I love is you and I will sit in your car, we'll play records. Like I remember, and we'll talk about this one thing a little later on, but one of the things was we always come up with something where you'll be playing an artist, go, have you heard that song by him? And you go, no, I'll listen to it. And then you knew it, and then you would go, that's been ripped off by. So we'd always do that thing, or not, yes, cool. Yeah. I remember. So we'll talk about that later when we get to the albums, but that's one of the greatest things about experiencing music with your friends. It was always the cool thing growing up, being able to play something new for your friends, or they turn you onto something, you just get fall in love with it. But tell me about picking up the guitar. Like, what was the catalyst for that?
My oldest brother, had a guitar up on his wall.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was decoration. And then one day I remember seeing someone just playing it. And I go, that looks like the guitar he was playing in church. Yeah. So I took it down and I, just learned how to tune it and everything. And then I just started messing around with it,
Yeah. Yeah, that's great, man. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Going to school, meeting Charles. How old were you when you met Charles? As people know, as Frank Black as well.
I was 18.
18 years old.
Yeah, in college. Yep, went to college.
And were you guys in the same dorm, like the same, or were you? Did you eventually move in with each other, or you just met each other?
Well, it was a suite that we lived in, and he was the room next to mine, and then we did eventually move to a house. We went out off campus and just rented a house with a bunch of other people.
That's cool.
Yeah.
In you guys' honor, I'm wearing the Husker Du New Day Rising shirt today because I love the story that when you guys placed the ad for a bass player, it said, we want somebody who can play Husker Du and Peter, Paul, and Mary. That was such a great story. And then guys found Kim Deal. And of course, David. But it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, basically, you don't be an indie snot coming into this band,
Yeah.
Like everything, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's how I feel. I always felt like, when people were like, too hip, so hip it hurts. There's so much great music. Be open-minded. And even if
exactly.
I don't care if you're like ABBA or, you know what I mean, Run DMC, anything. I'm just using that as an example. It's funny when I was joked that when I was a kid, because and this is when you're paranoid when you're a young kid that you're not as cool as you should be. I remember I was singing in my band in junior high school. And I was, of course, we were doing like Bowie, Bad Company, because it was that time. We actually did Roxy music too, which was pretty adventurous, right? We did all this stuff, but then I would go home and make sure none of my neighbors could hear me listening to ABBA's SOS. I had the 45. It still sounds great. Like It's really funny because the production on that song with a like 12-string guitars is sounds fucking amazing. But now I make no apologies for anything I like. My rule is, if I like it, it's fucking great. It's what it's also subjective.
Yeah. Every album, every song has its purpose. Someday it'll have a meaning. Someday it'll have an impact. Others probably will never see the light of day for me.
Yeah, right, exactly. There's definitely shit we don't like. I mean, but there's a lot of things we do. But we're definitely open-minded. We're not worried about. Yeah. I mean, we make our own decisions. So, Joey, talk to me about the first time you and Charles, when you realized that you guys with Charles writing songs and you playing this cool, angular, your own thing, bending notes, being like, listen. For me, it was like, it was everything from Andy Gill to George Harrison, like Daniel Ford. You would just, it was just so cool. Tell me about working with him, and then tell me about when you guys got that record deal with 4AD, because I didn't discover you, of course, but I got that EP, Come on Pilgrim, and I fell in love with I've Been Tired and Nimrod's Son. Like, I love those two tunes, and I play them on college radio, and I was like, these guys are fucking cool, man. This is like, and it was like train of thought, like in the beginning of I've Been Tired, where Charles was saying. So tell me when you guys actually started working on songs together and you realized that he could write. Tell me about that.
Well, I already knew it in college. That's why we dropped out together. I wouldn't have done it otherwise. And we had an apartment. We roomed together. We slept on cots, army cots. I remember that. And we were practicing one day, just putting stuff together, and we heard a knock on the door, and it was the super of the apartment, the guy that fixes everything. Yeah, he knocks and goes like, "Shit, we're too fucking." I mean, am I allowed to swear here? I just did it. So
I say fuck here and everything.
Okay, so I'll try to watch it. It's such a habit, bad habit. But he knocked on the door, and I thought, damn, we're too loud. We feel bad. Well, I felt bad, but he just said, "Whoa, you guys," gave us his thumbs up, and that's pretty much, that dude did it.
Yeah, like that was like when you saw this guy who's basically taking care of all the repairs and everything, and liked what you guys were doing. That's a cool thing, right?
Yeah. Maybe we have he said, "What is that? That's really good." It's
that's
like,
awesome.
Whoa.
What was it like? I remember you and I were on the phone. When Von Oliver died, we were on the phone because Von Oliver, of course, did all your amazing artwork and all those great 4AD covers for like Dead Can Dance and This Mortal Coil and everything, right? So, tell me about that transition. Because Von was such a cool guy. I had dinner with him in Reykjavik, Iceland, and we were talking about record covers. We're sitting there, and it was Gus because they were on 4AD, and it was a band. And I was there, and Von was just so cool. And I was like, man, those covers are the most beautiful thing. Tell me about the transition of getting signed by 4AD, and how when you got your first designs from Von, what was that like when you're like, when they show you what they want to do for artwork? Did they give you
just getting signed is incredible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially back then.
And I mean, it's great that the album cover looked fantastic. So it just looked very different. The guy with the hairy back.
Yeah,
it definitely stands out. And I mean, he's done great work. Personally, I couldn't have cared if it looked. I didn't care what it looked like. Really, just want to get something out there, but it helps for the look.
Oh, it did
definitely. I mean, he did fantastic work. He's awesome.
Yeah, my Doolittle, Surfer Rose, all those album covers. He was a lovely guy, man. He was really funny too. Like, he was smart, fitted, and cool. So when he died, I was upset. I mean, I was upset about it, but I was.
Yeah, I was too. Yeah, it was a surprise. We just saw him like months ago too. Came home and then he died.
Yeah, when you were on the road, right? You were overseas, right? And he came to the show, or did you meet him for dinner or something?
No, he just came to the show.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah. All right, so here you are. So now all of a sudden, you guys are getting unbelievable press. I remember my friend John Campbell was in New Jersey. We were both at the record store. He goes, I bought this yesterday. It was the only copy. It's called Come On Pilgrim. You got to listen to it. And you know how friends turn friends on the records. And I just put it on. I went, what the fuck? This is cool. I go, it was just different than everything else. Mm-hmm. And so was there ever a period where you and Charles were like really surprised at how people reacted to the record and were so warm to it? Or did you guys like try not to get caught up in any of that? Like, what was the feeling?
We didn't try to get caught up in it. I suppose there's a little snotty. Attitude, like, you know, if people don't get it, that's great. They don't get it. You know, we think it's good. You know, one time in Newberry Comics, I was there just to check to see if our record was there, and it was. And I saw someone returning it.
Someone brought it back.
and they said,
hey, that's something weird. You're like, holy shit, yeah. You're like,
because it doesn't sound like anything like it doesn't sound like 4AD band. It's like, oh, it's like, geez. And I just like, yeah, good. Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great story. For those people watching, Newberry Comics, legendary record store in Boston. Love the place. And back then, it was, of course, so great. It's weird. I walked in there when my daughter was going to school at Berkeley, and it was so different now because it's like, you know, they have like maybe 40 albums, you know, like that they've repressed. You know, like Doolittle or Safrosa, Nevermind, you know, Prince's Purple Rain. You know, like how some of these places only stock certain classic vinyl albums.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I just had great memories of that story. But that's such a great story. Returning your record saying it doesn't sound like a 4AD band. They wanted something mellower, like a very chill. Oh yeah, here we go. Haunting, that kind of thing. But,
I mean, even though they had birthday party and all that, but they were, you know, currently they were going into their very ethereal stuff.
Cocktail Twins, everything like that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, which I love all those records, but your stuff was like didn't sound like anything else that was going on anywhere at the time, which was so cool. You obviously broke through in the UK first. Tell me about the first Pixies tour there. What was that like? Because all of a sudden it's brand new for you guys.
Yeah, it was great. We shared a Sprinter with the Throwing Muses.
Yeah, another great.
And we just went around, and it was unbelievable. You know, I think it was like about a year and some change later that we played our first show in Boston. We were in England. You know, incredible, and touring around. I mean, come on, you know. Yeah. I had no worries at all, you know.
Yeah, you're like a kid, and you're out with your guitar and your band, and you're seeing the world. You know, it's
yeah. I mean, the Cockroaches are going to take care of my apartment in Boston. You know, I knew that was going to be fine. So, you know, that's all. That's really all I had.
Yeah, that's amazing. Did you guys? So did you when you were hitting the road? I know a lot of people when they go on tour. Some people actually will give up their apartment if they think they know they're going to be away for like a.
I did do that.
Yeah, because you were like, well, why would I keep this place if I'm not going to be here, right? And especially when you're that young, because you have less responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I lived in a hotel in Boston. You know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and interesting. I went to this bar every day at 4:00. I saw Grover Cleveland's nephew in the corner, 4:00, all the time. And it goes, God, he's there all the time. Right when I'm getting in. It goes, the guy's weird. You know, you're like, and then it dawned on me, goes, hold on a second. I'm here every day at 4 p.m. too. You know, it's just him and I hanging out, you know. But he was drinking brandy Alexander, so I tried it. It was like, I'll try it. And it was like, whoa, this is damn good. But, you know, I can't have it all day, you know.
Can you imagine you had all that sugar? You know, this is pretty.
Yeah. But he always read a big book. But, yeah, I lived in that hotel, And, I was that guy that if my friends wanted to see me, I was the dude that would go downstairs with sweatpants, barefooted, like, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Probably depressed. It's probably depressed.
Yeah. We've all gone through. I think, and that's the thing right now. I know that, like, really, what people are going through now, Joey, it's true. Like, I'm wearing sweatpants. They're super comfortable. Sleep in them if I want to. I'll put on pants when I go outside or I go to the store. But
that's why I'm wearing this. Just because in quarantine, you can still look good.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's too many people out there with fucking sweatpants on, and it's like, come on, man. It's like,
don't give up on your style, and don't, you know what I mean, right? Yeah, Joey.
Don't give up yet.
Yeah,
we're gonna pull through this.
We absolutely are. It's funny because you know what? That was the thing I loved. Like, I remember I saw you backstage. You were at that big Cure thing, the Cure show with you, Deftones, and Joy Formidable. It was a great day. It was insane how packed it was. Like, even the VIP area had like 5 billion people there, and Tony Hawk and Lady Gaga. Like, it was just like it was crazy. Luckily, I had passes to come back and be in that back area with you guys, which I was very grateful for. But I remember seeing you that day, and you looked so fucking styling on stage. You looked great. I love for you. I know it's always been a thing. And when you did the Weezer tour too, when we were all together down there at the Forum, same deal. Mm-hmm. Something I like the fact that you like to dress up and just be styling.
It started when I straightened out my act, and I just wanted to make a definitive line between that and whatever, and
like basically like before and after kind of thing, where
before and after, and I tried it on, and it's kind of like getting ready, it's your uniform, it's you go out and you're gonna do something special.
Yeah.
It's because before I used to just like whatever I roll out in the bus, that's what I wear. I just go. I slept on it. I did everything on it. I go on stage. And it's like, after a while, you hit 50, you kind of have to get off the t-shirt train.
I haven't yet, but I'm also not on stage like you. But I do it as
no. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I don't have no problem with it. But now when I do wear a t-shirt I've done it before.
Yeah.
Since I straightened out my act, and I just felt funny.
Yeah.
I just felt like,
But you wanted to put a definitive marker between a period of your life that you left behind and where you were and where you were going. And I think that's amazing. I think it's great,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I love that. And like I said, we spent a lot of time together. It's really, it's been a really incredible ride having my friends there through everything. And we're all, I love the fact that we're all very, very loyal to each other. I think it's so fucking good, man. It means a lot in times like these. It really does. I got to ask you now. So Surfer Rose is the next album. Obviously, there's so many great songs on that record. Is it Where Is My Mind has been used and synced and put in so many TV shows, movies. How does that feel when you see that stuff in a movie or something? Do you guys feel pretty cool about that? Do you love seeing that they've used that song? Because it's such a great tune. And go ahead.
It's everywhere. I mean, people will know it before I do. I never know where it's gonna head to. I did hear it in the preview in the movie of Fight Club. I went into the theater. I heard it and I go, and I for some reason I just left.
You didn't? Why did you feel weird about it? Did you feel weird?
I have no idea why I did that. I was in the right headspace to listen to it.
That's amazing. Yeah. It's funny, but those songs. And then let's talk about this. All right, so we'll move on to Doolittle, which is, one of my favorite records ever made. I mean, I love the album. There's so many things on that record from the beginning when it kicks in with the bass, all the way to Gouge Away. Moments of things like Hey and Wave of Mutilation and all those Crackin' Joes, all that great stuff. It's just what a journey that record takes you on. It's like when you have an album that you love so much that just it feels like it's taking you with it. And those are a lot of times those are some of my favorite albums of all time. Tell me about the making for you of Doolittle and what it was like you working with Gil Norton. And tell me about that experience, what it was like. And then did you and Charles and Cam and Dave feel like, holy shit, we made this really great record? Or was it just part of the journey? Tell me about what that was like.
Oh, we knew we made a special record. When we were mixing it in Connecticut, we recorded in Boston, but we were mixing it at the Carriage House in Stamford in Connecticut. So we were sleeping in there. It was a residential studio, and Gail taught us how to rewind and press play on the tape machine. So we did that, and we were doing it a bunch, and we were just like grinning, ear to ear, and we knew we had something special. We knew something good, and something maybe did we know it was different? We kind of knew, and it was a lot of pre-production. We did a lot of pre-production on that. We probably spent about 2 weeks doing pre-production.
I love you say 2 weeks of pre-production. There's like artists who do pre-production for 6 months. You guys that's amazing though. It's great. But Gil was like that. Wasn't Gil the kind of guy that even with Echo and the Bunnymen or other people, he just he really thought pre-production was such an important part of going in and getting the feel right?
Who said this? Who said this?
No, Echo and the Bunnymen. I talked to you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, you know what? I wonder if they worked with Gil, because Gil did work with Echo and the Bunnymen. Yeah. Pre-production is very, very important. Yeah. You got to get everything right.
But it's funny, Joey, though.
But too much is bad. Too much
is bad. Yeah. Depends on the kind of artist you are. I mean, there's some people that will do a retake 5 million times, and then it'll suck the soul out of a record. But even though you did pre-production, the good news is it still feels absolutely raw and of the moment. Every single part of Doolittle in that way. And I think that's one of the most important things about that record. It feels like say when you're listening to Hey, and that was the first thing that I heard from that record that I think most people in England heard from that record, and people that bought the NME in America. Remember when they used to put on those EPs, 4 songs on a record? With the
EPs,
Yeah. It was to promote new things that were going on. I remember there was a great version of Nick Cave's Mercy Seat on one of those. It was just him on a piano. It was wow. But Hey was on there. And I heard it and went, holy fuck, man, this song is so cool. And that was the first thing I heard off that record. That record stands up.
That was all live. That was literally all live. Charles was in the broom closet. And it was cut live. It was just perfect. We didn't change a thing. Just that's it.
Yeah.
One of the few tracks that we did. Probably the only track we did live.
Yeah, but it's so great. Everything about that. So I know we're going to start talking about the records that you guys have that you love, because that's what we do here on In the Lonely Place. We talk about I ask you to pick 7 albums, and then we talk about them. And this is interesting because it'll go back to Debaser. But one of the albums that you picked was David Bowie's Low. Now, David Bowie's Low, I love that record. And we have, this thing in common. There's a common thread with you and me, because with all of it, and of course the whole band, but, Bowie, when he covered Cactus on Heathen, and I actually, Bowie would have me over his place. And, I literally, gave him advice, kind of helped him with it. He basically had me A&R the record, of course, but he said it was on the DL because Ken and Nancy Barry from EMI were blown out. He had a key man clause, saw me at the CBGB's gallery, picked me up, said, what are you doing after this? I said, I was going to go back to my wife and kid. He goes, why don't you come have dinner with me? I sit with him, his assistant, Coco, who was with him to the end. Coco was with him to the end. She was with him since Aladdin Sane, 73. And we had many a meeting, but one of the last meetings we had was me and him on a couch across from each other. He had me come over and changed out some of those songs on that record. I basically, the story's really funny. It's in my book, but he was asking what I thought of certain things, and Coco made him play 5 songs for me that he didn't feel were finished. And by the time our hang was over, he ended up putting, at least I planted a seed that he put 3 of those songs on the record. Slow Burn, I've Been Waiting for You, The Neil Young, and Everybody Says Hi, or maybe I Deserve a Better Future. You know, so I can't remember that was in it. But yeah, I literally convinced him. And I'm not saying, you know, I at least planted the seed because I don't want to take it. But it's amazing. So the fact that he did Cactus on that record, I know what a fan he was of yours. But I want to hear why you love Low, because that record's so great, man. And let's talk about the history of that record. You know the history. So tell me why you love that record. And
well, a little bit. I mean, I did research before I went on here. I did, you know, he was trying to get away from the drug culture in Los Angeles, you know, particularly cocaine. And he went over there, you know, to get away from it. And Low was titled because that's how he felt.
Yeah.
He just felt low, you know, when you're trying to get off that stuff. It's horrible stuff.
Yeah, I know.
And
we know.
Yeah. And so okay. But I got into that record because the guitar playing was just, I loved Carlos Alomar shit, I forgot the other guitar player, but the you know, and then later on, the other side of it, all that ambient stuff, it grew on me. First, I didn't like it. It's like, what is this? You know, this is nothing like the A side. And then, you know, I started digging the synthesizers and all these ethereal stuff, and
like Warsaw and all that other stuff that's on that record, right?
And
it's amazing because I remember when that record came out, and I was such a Bowie head, which is why it was so surreal that I got to actually, you know, have dinner with him, you know, like hang with him. So much stuff. It was amazing. It was always surreal. But I will say that that record was interesting because that sound that he was doing between him, Eno, Tony Visconti, you know, and you know, hanging out with Iggy all the time because he had his best brother over there. Him and Iggy, like they always rolled together. Their time out there. But that record was pretty incredible. That first side was Speed of Life, and then you know, I love Breaking Glass and What in the World, like Be My Wife. But you know, Bowie told me, I'll tell you this, Joey. I was talking about that album, and he goes, "You know, always crashing in the same car." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "It's because I drove a car in the parking deck there in Berlin, and I crashed it into the wall." He goes, I wrote this. I said, "I really did. I did crash a car that day." He said, "Anyone wrote the song?" It was pretty funny. It's pretty funty, man. I mean, he had a great sense of humor too. Very charming man. But I love that record. It's cool.
Yeah. Sound and Vision. I love that little cute guitar.
Yeah.
We had dinner with him in Manchester, and I asked him about that because we were talking about guitars, and then I said, I really like that, you know, that thing. He goes, "Did you play that?" He goes, "Yeah, I played that." I go, "Really?" And we saw him live, and I was on the side of the stage, and he told his guitar tech, you know, because the guitar tech there, you could check if your guitar's in tune. He has a little amp, and Bowie went to his guitar tech and goes like, "Hey, turn that up," and then that was a signal, and he turned it up, and I heard it, just his guitar, and then Bowie just like pointed at me and goes like, "See, you know, it's like kind of like,
cool. Yeah,
I'm playing it."
That's amazing, man. You know, Mick Ronson obviously was such a great unsung and part of the Bowie sound and life, and I love Mick Ronson so much. I'm glad that Bowie actually narrated that documentary on him called Beside Bowie after Mick died, you know, and which was cool because I'm glad that was kind of like a peaceful ending to everything. I mean, it was just, you know, Bowie wanted to go off on his own direction. I mean, I know it was hard for Mick and those other guys. Then he went out with Ian Hunter, you know, and of course, you know, did produce everything imaginable from like pure Prairie League to, you know, to Morrissey at some point. But you know, that documentary Beside Bowie while people are home, and Joey, I don't know if you've seen it, it's fucking great. And you know what's wild about it? I found out that Bowie like narrated that it was like one of the last things he was doing while he was doing Black Star before he died. Like he wanted to do it for Mick. That was so cool, you know. But I will say this too, Carlos Alomar, right? when I was on the board of governors of the Grammys, the best part of it for me was fucking sitting with Carlos Alomar and Nile Rodgers and just picking their brains, man. Having them tell me stories, which was super cool. Love those guys. Carlos was on a lot of soul records, James Brown records, Edwin Starr War, 25 Miles. I never got credit for that shit. But that's all right, But at least hey, I'm sure he co-wrote Fame, and that's a good thing. Did pretty well with him. And, But anyway, so we love that record, man, and Low is an incredible thing. I'm going to go to one of your second records. Now, this is funny because this reminds me of you and me in your car because you were listening to this album one day, Donovan's Greatest Hits, and we love Donovan. So tell me why you love this record.
It was. Well, first of all, it's the greatest hits. So there's not a dud in there, and I just loved it. I loved Season of the Witch, Hurdy Gurdy Man, and Sunshine Superman was one of the few solos I bothered to learn. I learned a bunch of them, but I learned it. And it's the weirdest frigging solo. It ends with a comma. It's like blip, 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 blip. It's like, oh, well, what's that? Because like, no, I'm done. It's like, okay, you're done.
Yeah, man, it's amazing.
It's very, very. That's an angular kind of guitar solo.
Yeah, it is, and I think and we talk about. A lot of people think that on Hurdy Gurdy Man, it's actually John Bonham, but it's not him on drums, but it's definitely John Paul Jones and Jimmy Page. I mean, it's half of that record. And I know you met all those guys, but it's really funny. I remember John Paul Jones going to be, my dad thought I was crazy that I was going to join a band. He goes, "You got this great job doing sessions. Why the fuck do you want to start a band, John?" Let's up and did all right. So that was cool.
Yeah.
But I love those records. Donovan was. There's so many cool things that he did. He was very trippy, and a lot of the singles that Mickey most produced. He would say to Donovan, "Look, I'm going to produce your singles, and then on the rest of the album, you can do whatever the fuck you want." So that was the way they did things. But one of my favorite moments is you and I were up in the morning, we're driving in your car, and you're playing the record, and I say, "Man, dude, have you heard that song, Hey Jip, Dig the Slowness?" My friends and I used to always laugh at that name. We thought it was just like we thought it was this total hippie like 60s thing. But the song was so great, and Jip was a guy who used to run around with Donovan named Gypsy, right? It was like his sidekick. And the song is like this bluesy thing. It's acoustic blues. Jack White put it on their last album. On their last album, they did a great version of it.
Oh, okay.
But the thing that I had forgotten that you turned me on to, this is what it's like when people share music stories. Tell everybody, like, you're listening to, you go, remember the Foghat song? So tell people about that story, because it was amazing. Because I was like, you're like, dude, I think Foghat stole this and changed the name of the song. And they did remember that? Because, we had every kind of record when we were kids. We listened to Fool for the City and Stone Blue and all those records.
Yeah.
People know they're cool or not. We didn't give a shit. We were kids. We were sponges. We liked everything. And there was shit we hated.
Exactly.
But so tell people that story, because it's really funny how I had no memory of the fact that Foghat had done that. And you're like, Matt, you got to hear this because
but it's a different. They called it Chevrolet.
Yeah.
Foghat. So. Because that was, let's be honest, like should have been the title of the song.
It should have, yeah.
And I used to play that song because when the bass kicked in, I would see my speakers. I would just watch it, and it would just go boof, boof, boof. And I just loved watching it. I could feel the air on it, and
it's amazing.
Crank the hell out of it. Yeah. They're a good band, they had their purpose. See, every band has its purpose.
I agree.
That band had a purpose.
Everybody can say what they want about Foghat, but there's some great songs like, obviously, Fool for the City, Slow Ride, Stone Blue. We liked all that shit. We were kids. We didn't worry about it. It was whatever made us feel good, whatever moved us. And you're talking about like how the stereo, the speakers that you had, you feel that thing. And our mutual great friend, Howie Weinberg, who's mastered so many great records, including a lot of yours, he said it yesterday. It was great. It's like, it has to have that thing. You know what I mean? And I love records that you actually feel, which I think is so freaking important. So let's talk about the next record, which is great. You being a really, in my opinion, a very innovative, influential guitarist. Obviously, everybody said it. Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, Kurt Cobain. I mean, I could just go on and on. And, I love about you is, you and Charles, like you, it's like you're just down-to-earth, cool fucking guys. And you know how influential the band is that you've been in. And, Pixies are so influential. But the people that you like on guitar, I love that you picked the Jimi Hendrix album, the first Experience album, Are You Experienced? And, I'm a few years older than you. So I first heard this when my older brother was playing it in his room. So I was living, it was like always on that and creamed Israeli gears. But tell me why you love this record and when you discovered Hendrix.
I loved it because the guitar is just out of this world, Yeah. And I saw him, it's just the sonics he had were great. It just the guitar sounds. And when you I had the headphones back then. Remember, I would just crank them, listen to them because I can't, I couldn't play the music loud when, because my parents didn't like it that loud sometimes, So I'd play it and you could, the panning on that, and also, it's great. It's just good stuff. I mean, and you see him live. You see him play live. When I saw him on on TV, it looks like it's just a part of his body that he's playing. It's like, the guitar's like secondary.
Yeah.
It's part of his arm. It's just part of his body. It's just it's just there. I mean, it was just him and the guitar were just one thing,
Yeah, and I agree. And it's I finally got to go up. I was visiting my friends in Seattle, and I went up to my friend Kim Monroe's radio. All those people live up there. Marco Collins, a lot of my friends. I was up there, and she took me to his grave because I'd never been there before. Even with all the things like Seattle with Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, I went there and it's beautiful. Like I heard originally it was very small, but they have this. It's unbelievable how absolutely gorgeous, tranquil this is. It's not in Seattle proper. It's out of, I guess, about a half hour from Seattle. But it was so beautiful to go there and, stand in front of there, because I love those records. I mean, I was a kid, like you said, but you hear that stuff, it's unbelievable. And I used to love those stories about like the fact that the day that Sgt. Pepper came out, he had gotten the record, came out on a Friday in England. He was playing Sunday night, right? That thing where he opens his show with the title track of a Sgt. Pepper. McCartney and those guys are in the audience. I mean, he learns it in 2 days and just says, fucking and opens with it. It was just super. I mean, that's,
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, that's
cool.
A thing, man, I wish he had lived a lot longer because I love those records. And Axis Bold as Love is one of my favorite albums, too, of all time. Anyway, so I'm glad you picked that record. I love it because I love what you picked. Very, very different mix of things here. All right. When you think about two great guitarists in a family, brothers that were siblings, but you never heard about these guys battling in war, Angus and Malcolm Young from AC/DC, right?
Yeah.
And Back to Black is obviously, I mean, what a change in a sense that it could have gone either way. Could have gone either way. They could have broken up the band, got Brian Johnson in the band. There's that famous story that I told that was a cartoon where Brian Johnson actually, he had an appendicitis. It burst on stage. Bon Scott went to see him play. He went to see him play. And he didn't realize that his appendix burst on stage. Like he was literally like rolling around and screaming and stuff. And Bon thought it was the coolest performance ever. Then Bon left, and then the ambulance came and picked up Brian Johnson. And he told Angus and Malcolm and those guys, he goes, dude, I saw the fucking greatest singer ever, man. Like, holy shit, the guy's rolling around on stage. And then, so he basically recommended his replacement before he died, which is just the most incredible story ever. And of course, Bon's family, told the rest of the guys, Bon will want you to carry on. And then
they gave him their blessing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And that record, it's one of the biggest selling records. It is ever. It's the biggest selling hard rock record. Well, I mean, we also got to remember Appetite for Destruction and the Black Album and all those records too. They're all great. But yeah, that record was unbelievable. 1980. Let's talk about it. So tell me how you discovered AC/DC and why you love that record.
That was my first concert, AC/DC.
Yeah.
So and it was incredible. Bon Scott has just died. So then again, this was in Springfield, Mass, but it wasn't that crowded at all at this hockey arena. Not sure if people were into, the replacement of Bon Scott, but I saw it. It was incredible. And I even had my trepidation. I was like, well, okay, he's gone, but Back in Black sounds good. And they did Highway to Hell. It sounds just like, close to Bon Scott,
Yeah.
And I rode my bicycle down to the arena and I early, and I saw the tour bus there. I go, oh, okay. I went over there and I said, hey, can I meet Angus? And the I don't know who it was, but he goes, he just basically told him to beat it. They go like, whoa, yeah, that's pretty rude. And then, but I went across the street to the library and to hang out and waiting for the show. And I could not believe that library, that city library, you could borrow records.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a good thing that happened. So I went in there and it's like, are you kidding me? I could do this. So I waited, after the show, next day I went down there again to that library and started taking weird records out.
Yeah, which basically were probably inspired you and got a part of your DNA. Like that was the cool thing about libraries. I mean, and I love that too. It's like I remember getting records like the band's double live album Rock of Ages from the library. I mean, there's a bunch of different things. That's one I remember in particularly because of Steve Wright. But that was a cool thing about that because we didn't have a lot of you didn't have a lot of money. We mowing lawns, delivering papers. And to absorb music more was so important. So I'm like you. I was like, yeah, oh shit. And then you try to find like just different bizarre stuff to check out or something that looked interesting. Is there anything you discovered in the library that you remember specifically?
Well, Wes Montgomery. Joe Pass.
Yeah.
All that. Just because I heard that. Hendrix was influenced by him. So I checked it out and I goes, oh yeah, his octave work. So he did a lot of octaves, just to fatten stuff up. And I do that. Now I just do that a lot.
Yeah.
So.
There was something about those Wes Montgomery records, I ended up with them. Some of those records, the stuff he did on A&M, I think. I mean, there was obviously different labels he was on. But those records are so beautiful, man. Like the playing is so fucking great, man. I still love that. It definitely brings me to a place sometimes where it's calm, right? I always remember Wes Montgomery since I was a kid. Just there was something about his playing that was just so fun, so great, man. So I love hearing that from you. That's cool. Like you reaching out into the jazz and like the different worlds there.
Yeah, and weird classical music, just weird like experimental classical music, which is something else to hear.
Yeah, it's very.
I forgot. Yeah,
but I love that, man. I mean, that like really shows why you do such interesting things with the guitar and the guitar sounds. And I love that. Speaking of guys that you and I both love, who's like one of the masters of feedback, writes these beautiful songs and cool fucking songs. Always has been amazing as Neil Young. Now, I know we love a lot of different things by him, but I love that you picked Live Russ. Not only because it's like literally sitting over right by there, and I piles records everywhere. But Live Russ was a great live album because it was a heavier live record and it had all those great songs on it, hits. Of course, we were talking about We Love Decade, but as a compilation and those things. But Live Russ, man, like I put on that version of The Loner When You Dance, I Can Really Love. Like, I love that
Yeah.
shit. You know, so tell me why you love the record.
Cinnamon Girl.
Yeah.
The end of that. I just played the hell out of it. It's got good memories for me, you know.
Yeah.
The guitar sounds are crazy, once again, and you know, great songs. That's it.
Yeah. That guy can write a song. Neil Young can write a song, man.
Mm-hmm.
You have to admire a man who has had this incredible career through all these years. But I love him, always have. You know, and that doesn't mean I love every single thing he does, because I used to always kind of when I was younger, it used to bother me that, like, even if somebody put out the shittiest album, everybody like, oh man, what do you? I go, dude, have you listened to it? Like, and not to be a dick, but I was like, you know what I'm talking about. Those people that were kind of they were sheep. They were like, if the band did something, like if they shit on a piece of vinyl, they were like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. Which is, to me, had more to do with like them trying to be cool or in this subculture than actually whether they were really listening to music. When it really gets down to it, no matter what you do, it's all about the music itself. Neil was amazing, like, and him leaving bands, like, his whole thing where he would, quit Buffalo Springfield. I remember Ed King, the guitar player who wrote the riff of Sweet Home Alabama. I was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, and we were talking for a while because the Skinner guys, their kids want to take their pictures with me, and I was like, I should be asking you guys to take pictures, but they were the nicest people. And but Ed King, the guy who wrote those riffs, and he was in the Strawberry Alarm Clock too. He was the guy who played guitar in Insect Peppermints, right? And then he was the only guy in Leonard Skinner that wasn't from Jacksonville. But he told me the story because Strawberry Alarm Clock were on tour with Buffalo Springfield, and Neil, of course, was known for wanting to quit bands and say "fuck you" and like not play. So one day, Richie Fury was knocking on his hotel room door, going, "Come out here, Neil! Fuck, we gotta play the show, or I'm gonna break your fucking fingers!" So that's why, if you know the story, that's why like Graham Nash and David Crosby couldn't believe that Stephen Stills wanted him to join for Deja Vu. They're like, you guys are two fucking alpha males. Didn't you just break up with the band because of that? Like, it was just this shit, man. But those other stories are also great. I love all those guys, no matter what. And so that story was pretty interesting before Ed King died. Told me that story. Now, you got two more albums that are fantastic. Obviously, I love that you picked this one. The Public Image Limited album called Album. What an incredible record that is. I mean, it's Rise is just like one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. And FFF.
That was. It was written about somebody that he used to be in a band with, who's my friend. I think they're probably cool now with each other, but Johnny was mad at my friend who was in Pill, and he wrote that song, "Farewell, My Fair Weather Friend." That was what it was about, right? Like, he was just really pissed at him. But that guy's a great guy, so I won't name him right now, but maybe it's actually out there, but if it's not, I'll like protect my friend's thing. So, but
the Steve Vai.
Yeah. Playing, you mean
incredible.
Him playing? Yeah. His playing on it. Yeah.
Incredible. The dive bombs that he did on the whammy. God, I wonder what guitar he did. But geez, it just predates the Floyd Rose, I think. But I mean, he would just dive it deep. I mean, it just sounded like Airplanes. Anything, it just sounded
sounded
out of this world. Yeah. And
by the way, Howie just texted me. Howie wanted to remind you and I, since we're all brothers, that he did that Pill album. Howie mastered that. Howie's the best. We know that. He's our brother. He's like, I did Rise. I did that record. I love him. He just texted me. This is like,
he just texted me too.
Yeah, he got it too. Yeah, he's so funny. He's the best. Nobody's mastered more great records than Howie, and we love him. Yeah. But Rise, the song. What I thought that song was like one of the coolest, like the way that Johnny Lydon broke down those lyrics and the fact that he used that famous Irish poem. Because my mom, who's 87, has this, she's very proud of her Irish heritage, and she has that "May the Road Rise with You" on the wall.
Yeah, I could,
and I was, and I was
Yeah.
just, hey, Mom, I got to tell you, that's this really great song. And my mom said, oh, okay, man. It's funny. My mom and dad are the best. I mean, my dad passed away, but they tolerate. It was so funny because they were such smart people. There was a funny period where my dad would put Ziggy Stardust and Iggy Pop together, and you go, Ziggy Pop. I'm like, no, Dad, it's Iggy. David Bowie. It was just so funny, But I tortured them by playing music loud when I was a kid, and you listen to everything imaginable. Coming through got to give them a lot of credit for that. Changed my life.
Yeah.
But I'll just say, that song is one of my favorite Pill songs ever, and that's because those lyrics are unbelievable. And I also agree with that. I love that anger is an energy, because sometimes in our lives we have to anger can be really self-destructive, as too, and in resentment and the things that you hold on to can eat away at you, and then you end up, it's hurting you, but not the person that hurt you. You know what I mean? They don't give a fuck. And you're and meanwhile, it can destroy you from within. But also, if you're smart, you can channel some of that anger into something very positive. Use that energy, to motivate yourself. And I love those. I fucking love that lyric. I mean, every aspect of that song was brilliant. Even the beat, the drum beat was so different. You know what I mean? So tell me, is that so? It was Steve Vai that why you love that record, and just tell me.
Steve Vai, and beautiful production, big, huge, lot of open spaces. Yeah, and just incredible guitar playing too. I mean, that's what I liked it, and also the snotty attitude of John.
I mean, you had to love that. I mean, that was the best shit ever. I have those conversations funny with Steve Jones and Pistols. We joke and I always look to him because I love the B-side of God Save the Queen, Did You Know Wrong? And he's like, yeah, man, because it was always the hardest fucking song to play again because the intro is so cool and so different. But anyway, I mean, I'll tell you a funny story. So
and also he did a quotation too, which I like to do. I do this silly solo. He did right. What is that? It was a Zeppelin quotation on that album. We keep talking. I'll get it.
We got one more record to talk about, Joey. Yeah. But I love that we're talking about this. Now, one of the things that listen. I mean, I read this stuff, years ago that you love this album, and one of the things that you love so much, and it's true. George Harrison was such a fucking great guitar player and amazing. And when you hear those records separated, the tracks on the different Beatles albums, it's so gritty, but it's like him bending notes. Now you love Truffle, right? But so you picked the White Album, which I thought was a great place for us, to end here. The White Album is one of the greatest records ever. And the irony was, it was called the Beatles, yet it was four guys working separately for most of the record. I mean, they did some stuff together, but it was like the beginning of the end. So, but what an incredible double record. What are the things about that album that you love?
The variety. It's like a great radio station, right? I mean, you've got everything there. You've got, you got Back in the USSR. You got Blackbird, and you have the avant-garde Revolution Number 9.
Yeah.
I used to listen to that in the subway on the T in Boston. I put that on my headphones. I mean, it's not a good listening vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it almost sounds like
it's very ominous.
And it's also
it sounds like I'm gonna do something really bad.
Yeah,
I should really turn this off. You know?
It's like it could push you over the edge. It's just like it's the insanity.
Exactly. It looks like you feel like you're in a horror movie when you're in subway. Listen to that really loud in your place. It's like, wow. It's like just takes you somewhere else.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But I mean, just an amazing record, right?
Oh, I love it. And it's really weird because, obviously, like, we're both friends with Ringo and McCartney. I've interviewed a bunch of times. And I bought the Beatles box in mono. And the first time
my God. The mono version sounds so much tougher. Helter Skelter sounds like a garage band.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Incredible. It's so raw. It's,
Right. And it fades out. It doesn't have the I got blisters on my fingers thing either. Like, what I mean? It's changed. The mono version, the edits are different on there. And it's really weird. I love that you can hear in the mono version of that album. I love the stereo version, of course. But how different the mixes were. And, I've said this before, a lot of times, not so much then because people were really into stereo at that point because you already had Hendrix, Cream, and all these other people that were happening. It meant a lot, and there was also the psychedelic thing that was going on with Floyd and all these other people. But the mono version of that record is so interesting because you listen to the White Album and you hear the shit you can't hear, like you never knew was there. Like it's everything is completely, changing.
Yeah.
So do you love the? Do you literally?
It's tougher. It's tough sounding. Portishead Dummy is mono.
One of my favorite albums.
So that's why it sounds so punky. Yeah. That's a mono record.
Portishead Dummy, yeah, it's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I love that record, man. In fact, the gold record of it is on the floor in my storage back in Jersey. I'm like, fuck, I need to get that. But I love that record. I love that band. It was a big part of 120 for me. That record is insane how good that sounds. Sour Times is like, beautiful, beautiful record. I'm sure you and I could talk about a million records. Joey, I'm glad again. Thanks for doing the show, but I love you. You're my friend. I miss seeing you. I'd rather we were like going to Starbucks and getting coffee or tea together or listening to records in your car like we do. I appreciate you coming on here for your fans.
We'll do that again soon.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we'll be out of this soon, and we'll do, and I can't wait for that, man. In the meantime, we'll be staying in touch regardless and talking to each other like we did earlier today. It's funny, like we took for an hour and a half this morning before we did this, just because we were catching up on our lives. And, yeah, right, because and everything that's going on with this pandemic. But I just want you to know how much people appreciate you being here. We love you, and I love what you've done with the guitar. What you and the Pixies, Charles, everything that you guys have done with the songs, and how you inspired so many other guitarists to take chances. And that is a really incredible thing. And I love what I've always loved about you since we became very, very close friends was that, you're very unassuming. You just, what I mean? You're not like, I love the fact that you're just you and you're just a music lover and that's your style of playing. And you're so grateful to be playing and there with your family and your friends. And that means a lot. So thank you for, doing this today, Joey. All right.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you, man. And, and we'll see each other soon. So thanks so much. I've got this week, we've got more guests coming up. It's an interesting week because tomorrow it's my old friend Brian Vander Ark from the Verb Pipe from Michigan, who we got some funny stories. Thursday, AWOL Nation, Aaron Bruno will be on the show. And one of the biggest.
Oh, okay.
And then Friday, Dominic Youngblood, one of the biggest stars in music right now, one of the coolest guys ever. I love Youngblood. I love everybody we have on. I mean, I'm just excited. It's like this, what we're doing is so amazing. It's so much fun to do this show. This is keeping me going, man, because just getting all my friends and different people to come in and talk about their favorite records in their lives. And it's
tell that dude from AWOL Nation I said hello because I met that dude. Yeah, I will.
Cool. He dealt with he's such a great guy, and we'll talk about it later on the show on Thursday. But yeah, I mean, he went through during those fires in LA. Like he lost the studio, but he had a neighbor.
Oh,
yeah, but he went on stage that night at the Forum opening for, I think, 21 Pilots. It was Allison Hagendorf, my best friend's birthday. And he just had so much heart because he knew he just lost all this stuff. But he's like, but I'm here. I'm grateful to be here with you. And we'll live through it. And that's like this. We'll live through this. We're going to make it through. And you know what? We lean on our friends that we love. And it's all about that in the music, man. At the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, what else are you going to do, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Friends, family, and the music. Listen, Joey, thanks again, man. Joey Santiago.
All right, man.
I'll see you soon, my brother. Joey Santiago from the Pixies. Buddy, I want to just say it's Matt Pinfield. In a Lonely Place is the name of the show. It's on 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, and we do it, and I mean Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern time, just so you know. And but if you miss some episodes, you'll be able to go to the website on YouTube /WeAreHere, HEAR, and watch past episodes like Mark Foster the People, Jacoby Shaddix, like everybody who's been on the show. And, you know, of course, Howie Weinberg, who was on yesterday, he was one of mine and Joey's very, very close friends. So, yeah, go check out the old episodes too. Like, you know, what we're doing is we're just keeping it real, keeping it warm, honest, and all about the music. I want to thank Kerry Brown, Linda Perry, Chris Trevero, all the people that work on this show today, Rome. I want to thank Aaron, Nate, Andre from Proper Platforms, everybody who makes this thing happen. Rick Krim, one of my best friends who also helps book the show. Renee Mata, everybody who's involved in this show. You guys take care. Have a great evening. And once again, remember, keep the music in your heart. I'm Matt Pinfield, In a Lonely Place.
All right.
That's
cool.
Thanks, Joey.
All right, man.
All right, brother.